Okay, so now let us look at this. What is mean EPOC? EPOC the former term for this EPOC, or excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, is known as oxygen debt previously. Okay, if you learned previously oxygen debt, so the new term here is actually called EPOC. Okay, so it's a measurement of what? The increase of the rate of oxygen intake following strenuous activity intended to remove the oxygen in the body oxygen debt. So or we say that we want to pay, okay, the debt. So what debt in this case? Okay, what is the debt in this case? Are you clear? Okay, so now let us look at this. Now, guys, okay, so we look at the first process. First process, okay, you have a very moderate exercise activity, moderate, not a very vigorous one. Are you clear? For example, you go for a walk. Okay, you go for a slow jog in this case. Okay, not for badminton, not for running. Are you clear? Very moderate activity. So look at this. What actually happen when you have the start of the moderate activity? Okay, so this is the volume of O2. Okay, in cm3. Yeah, understand the graph now? Okay, so this is the time. Okay, this is the time. Okay, now look at this. Under normal condition, we call at rest. At rest, basically, you do nothing, you sit down. Okay, at rest, basically, you do nothing, you sit down, and then you breathe in and breathe out. So that is the normal volume of O2 that you breathe in. So this volume, we call them as a tidal volume. Are you clear? Are you clear? The tidal volume basically means that you take in and out, in and out. You take in, for example, that is vigorous. Normal. Basically at rest, the way you breathe in the air, you may not actually realize it. You breathe in the air. Kind of. That kind of the air is termed as the resting. So resting, you have this. Okay, so I use a red color, green color to show resting. This is the volume of O2 required for the resting. Okay, resting volume. So means that under normal conditions, you are at rest, this will be your volume. Okay, until at this time point, T equal to 1. So where you start your activity. Okay, so when you start the activity, immediately you start to, for example, a slow jog, like then you have the oxygen demand now. Okay, so this is my oxygen demand. The level of oxygen that require for you to generate sufficient. Okay, this is O2 demand. Now, what's mean O2 demand? Let's say, for example, you want to buy a house, right? So this house, okay, the developer said that, okay, 500K. Okay, 500K. So in this case, can you see that? So O2 demand. O2 demand to what? O2 demands to produce sufficient ATP, okay, to actually for you to carry out this activity. So your body may not have, immediately adjust, but we do know that slowly we can adjust our body physiology to meet the demand. When you meet the demand, can you see that there is a delay in time? This is T2. Are you clear? So if I divide them, this period of time, guys, okay, this period of time, okay, you realize that now we resting volume at rest, this is a volume that we have, be sufficient. So means that aerobic. Means that we can meet the demands. Are you clear? We can meet the demands. But now you can see that from T1 to T2. Can you see that? When T1 to T2, the demand is so high. This is what we need. but our body only can slowly meet the demand. So during this period of time, can you see that? We need so much, but our body cannot. So this period of time we call as the O2 deficit, not enough. Are you clear? So this period of time we call that as the O2 deficit. Okay, because you want to buy the house, not enough, right? You're not enough to meet, so you have to slowly go and borrow from your friends, you borrow from the bank, you borrow from your family member, okay? Because your work cannot sustain, okay? But why our body can do this? Our body at this moment actually carry out the mixture of aerobic. You still do your work, right? While you wait for the bank loan, you still work, right? So aerobic and anaerobic conditions. It's a mixture until you meet the demands. So our body try to adjust it. Okay, for example, you think that your work not enough, then you do more work in this case. So how? So our body try to adjust to increase the supply. First, we increase the breathing rate. We increase what? We increase the heart rate. Well, we increase some more. We increase the extractions of O2 from, okay, we try to do this, okay, you have breathing rates, you have increased the heart rate, you increase the extraction O2 from hemoglobin, okay, at the same time, we also carry out anaerobic respiration, means that we use whatever way, okay, we try to do whatever way to meet the demands. Are you clear? But during the period of time, because the demands start from here, can you see that when you start the run, demand start from here. So it means that at this moment of time, you already owe the bank money. You borrow from your friends in this case. So we have O2 deficit. Are you clear? Then once your body meet the demands, they will continue. And now we come into this T3, time T3. So what happened here, T2 to T3? Can you see that T2 and T3, because you start to work more, right? You work more. In this case, your body increase breathing rate, increase the heart rate, increase the extraction of O2 from hemoglobin. So it means that you meet the demands. Once you meet the demand, your body automatically switch to aerobic respiration. Not the mixture. Are you clear? Automatically, it will switch. Okay? So at T3, then you stop the event. You stop already. You stop jogging already, a slow jog. What will happen here is when you stop your exercise, by right, you should need this resting, right? But your volume of O2 that demands here, O2 that you breathe in here won't straight away drop to resting volume. It drops slowly. And now meets the resting volume. So this part, that extra O2, can you see that? Extra O2 that you take in, so it's termed as the extra O2 that you take in here is termed as EPOC, or in our syllabus we call it O2 depth. Are you clear? So means that after that you need to pay back because why? After that, you already bought the house already. So it means that now you owe the money, you have to pay back. So this is termed excessive, post exercise oxygen consumption. By right, this is the one I need. And rest, now I rest, all right. I should go back to normal, this volume. But the thing here is your body didn't do this. Your body continue. Are you clear? To take in more oxygen, so to pay for the O2 debt, because you already owe the bank. Are you clear? Okay, so at this moment, aerobic respiration until you meet the resting, right? Drop back to the resting volume. Are you clear? So this is moderate. Okay. So in this case, same thing. Okay, same thing. So this is a volume of O2. This is a timeline. Time. Okay. So at rest. Okay, this is at rest. Volume of O2 demand during at rest. Okay. or resting. Okay, resting O2 demand. So means that if let's say, for example, you are now sit at the park there, you do nothing. Okay, so this will be your O2. So can you see that the blue color can meet the demand, right? So aerobic. So T1. So from T0 to T1 in this process, aerobic. Are you clear? Aerobic respiration. So why aerobic? Because can you see that the blue line is the one, the supply. Blue line, always remember, the blue line is the supply. Green color line is the demand at rest. Meet it or not? Yes, we meet it. So therefore, aerobic. So it means that at this moment, you sit down at the park, you read the book, you feel that you are breathing, you won't feel it. Right or not? If you don't purposely go and think about it, you won't feel it. So this kind is basically at rest. For example, you sit down, okay, you do your own stuff slowly. So this kind is called at rest because you won't feel that you are breathing. Are you clear? Okay, but you exercise that you can feel it. Right. So this is means that it's not at rest anymore. Are you clear? Can I see that? Or crisis, someone frightened you, or you go into the exam hall, crisis, then different because your breathing rate increase until you can feel it increase. Okay. So let's say here you start your activity. Okay, yeah, I can. Let me remove this one first. So this is the start of activity. So it means that before T1, okay, before T1, you carry out aerobic respiration. You can meet the demand. The blue color line match with the green color lines. Okay. Now, when you start this exercise activity, okay, so definitely you have the demand. Okay, so this is the O2 demand. Same, okay? Okay, O2 demands for you to complete the activity, to start the activity. Are you clear? So yes, our bodies start to adjust. Okay, start to adjust, increase the breathing rate. Okay, but still not enough. You can use anaerobic respiration. No matter how you do it, the ATP that we form never sufficient. Are you clear? Your body adjusts never sufficient. So what will happen here is you can see that I increase. Can you see that? The supply increase, but cannot meet the demand. Can you see that? Cannot meet the demands. So in this case, you can see that I put it here as T2 and T3. So what will happen here is from T1 to T2, this period of time, so you have the mixture. So it means that aerobic plus anaerobic. Your body still adjusts it by increase the breathing rate. Your body still adjusts it by increase the heart rate. Your body also increase the extractions of O2 from hemoglobin. No matter what you do, you can't meet the demands. Always not enough. Are you clear? So means that when you reach this, we call it as the VO2 max. Means that maximum supply. Cannot already. Okay. This is what we call that VO2 max. Is the maximum volume of O2 that can supply for you. You cannot increase anymore because our lung, okay, have a certain limit. Our blood has certain limits. Our heart rate cannot continue to pump, and in this case, cannot. So where is the O2 deficit? Because as I said that when you start the activity, this is the demand. You have to meet the demand here. Start from here. You have to meet the demand already. So means that if you continue to count here, so the entire thing here is O2 deficit. You keep on owing the bank, okay, not owe the bank only, you still borrow the money, okay, because your work cannot pay the installment. Okay, so means that you have to continue to borrow the money from your relative, from your family. So in this case, this part is termed as the O2 deficit. So means that T2 to T3, you still continue with the mixture of aerobic plus anaerobic. So means that this sternus activity, can you continue for long? Cannot, because lactic acid confirm accumulate now. Can I see that? The lactates continue until your muscles stop you. You feel pain, you feel muscle cramp, you can't do anything else. Then you have to stop now at T3. Either stop because of the event done, or you stop because you can't run anymore. Okay, and you can see that now you at rest already, right? You sit down and rest already. When you rest already, the O2 demand here, this is O2 demand at rest, but you won't immediately decrease the O2 supply, but you slowly. So it take longer period of time to reach the at rest. So this part of volume is termed as the EPOC, excess post-exercise oxygen consumptions, or in our syllabus, we call it as O2 depth. Are you clear? So this is the volume, the depth that we need to pay after that. Okay. So even though you finish buying the house already, you still need to pay the interest, pay more. Are you clear? So this is what I say, that O2 debt. So this period of time, can you see that? At rest, we only require this amount, but you use more. Why you use more? Okay, to pay for the O2 debt. So this period of time, aerobic only, because we can meet the demand. The demand at rest is so low, and you will be able to meet the demands. Okay, you can take the photo. So at rest, we say that at rest, so nearly all body ATP demands are being met, okay? Means that at rest, you don't need so much of ATP. We can meet the demand by aerobic respiration, which require oxygen. But at the onset of oxygen exercise, we have to increase the exercise, or when increase the exercise intensity, the actual volume of oxygen supply is less than the volume of oxygen required, less than. So due to what? Because our time, say we need some time for our body to get adjusted. For example, our heart and our lung to get ready to supply and utilize the O2 efficiently. Are you clear? So at rest, we don't need to breathe in a lot of air, right? Wasted. But now we need more. So our body need time to adjust. So it takes time to increase. Increase what? Increase the heart rate, okay? Increase the breathing rates for muscle to increase the O2 extraction. This one we're going to learn in chapter 6, how we can extract more O2 from hemoglobin when we have vigorous exercise. Okay, so it means that the rate of ATP synthesis by aerobic respirations cannot meet the demand. Therefore, to synthesize sufficient ATP for us to meet the demands, our body need to utilize an anaerobic energy system. So what is mean anaerobic energy system? Where we only depends on the glycolysis, because glycolysis, we increase the rate of glycolysis. Are you clear? We increase the rate of glycolysis. Why we need to do this? Because when we have the glycolysis, we're going to produce more number, right? Small number of ATP. Correct or not? Every time we have glycolysis. So it means that every time glycolysis, let's say we take it, at rest, glycolysis maybe take place at very low rates. But now in order to meet the demand, we increase more glycolysis so that we're going to have more ATP. Are you clear? But not per glucose molecule. ATP per glucose molecule is still the same, because every glucose will give you 2. So means that in order to meet the demands, now instead of use 1 glucose molecule, I use 10 glucose molecule, I use 100 glucose molecule to meet the demands. Okay, but we do know that in this process, we're going to produce lactic acid or lactate. Are you clear? Okay, and we do have another one called creatine phosphate. Now, creatine phosphate is anaerobic. So, now what happened here is we do have this structure called creatine phosphate in our body. So, creatine phosphate can release phosphate group. So, it itself becomes creatinine. Okay, creatinines plus phosphate. So it can release. So creatinine actually is a waste product. Are you clear? After that, no more use it. Okay. So it releases the phosphate. So this phosphate or inorganic phosphate group. So now ADP can take this inorganic phosphate group to form ATP to meet the demands. Are you clear? But this is not true. Not because of the substrate level phosphorylation, not because of the oxidative phosphorylation. It's because of the donations from the creatine phosphate. So when the creatine phosphate donates, the phosphate group it itself now become creatinine. It's a kind of waste that we're going to excrete it out from our body. We're going to learn about these creatinines in A2. Okay, clear? Clear. So that's why I put it at this moment. No need to know. Okay, I put this symbol. Basically means that it's extra information for you. Clear? So this graph means that we have seen it already. For mild to moderate exercise, anaerobic energy system are employed until a steady state. So this is a steady state. So means that from the start until this period. Okay, T1 to T2 only. So therefore, the lactate actually accumulated is not high enough to stop us from the muscle cramps, right? I mean, to stop us and give us the muscle cramp. No, so we can continue to have the slow jogs for longer period of times. Okay, but as I said that what you owe, you have to pay back. So this one EPOC is a new term. I teach you guys a new term, but in the exam, please, if you're not sure which one to write, always remember you write as O2 debt, even though it's old term, but CIE accept this term. Okay, so please use the word O2 debt, oxygen debt. Okay, are you clear? Clear. So at steady state here, the supply of oxygen to muscle cell now sufficient. So means that we synthesize ATP by aerobic respiration. Okay, because we can meet the demand. Can you see that? We can meet the demand. Once we meet the demands already, so means that we can carry out aerobic respiration. So in fact, most of the cells in our body are able to maintain oxygen concentration high enough for normal mitochondrial function even during high intensity exercise. Okay, but it might be higher than the maximum rate at which oxygen can be supplied. Can you see that? This is the supply. It's the supply, the demand. No matter how, this is the maximum. VO2 max, the maximum O2 that we can have. Are you clear? Okay, so you continue. So means that lactic acid continue to be produced. So it will stop us from continuing the activity. So this part is termed as EPOC. Okay, this part is termed as EPOC. Okay, so at steady state, the rate of ATP synthesis by aerobic respiration is insufficient now. You look at this, sufficient or not? Insufficient, because already maximum already. I can't increase anymore. Okay, so therefore anaerobic respiration through the glycolysis continue until the exercise stopped. Okay, so for both cases, you're going to have this post-exercise oxygen consumption, or known as EPOC. So following any exercise, oxygen consumption does not immediately decrease back to the resting value. So EPOC is the total volume oxygen consumed above resting value during the recovery period. Or we say that during what? During the O2 debt. Okay, either say recovery period or during O2 debt. Okay, so in this recovery, what we do? So we replenish back the ATP creatine phosphate system. Just now we use it, right? Then we build back. Okay, replenish the hemoglobin because we use so much hemoglobins. Now we replenish back, and myoglobin. Myoglobins we're going to learn in next topics. Okay, topic number 6. Myoglobin is oxygen storage. Right now, O2 storage. So these proteins can actually capture the O2 until your body cannot meet the demands. The O2 supply cannot meet the demand. They only release the O2. So now we have more O2. O2 can actually, bind to the myoglobin to form oxymyoglobin. Okay, in the muscle cells only. The myoglobin only found in muscle cells. And we need to access O2 to remove the accumulated lactic acid from tissues by either convert them to the glycogens or oxidize them to CO2 and H2O. Are you clear? So it means that we burn down this lactic acid. Okay, so why we don't use the oxygen depth? Okay, because when you look at this, when you have the vigorous exercise, your body tissue's temperature actually increase due to this Q10 effect that we had learned before, right? So we increase the metabolism in the cardiac and the muscle, and increase level of circulating catecholamines. That means when you run, okay, you produce adrenalines, right? And noradrenalines from the adrenal glands contribute to increase of O2 consumption during recovery. So we don't use O2 depth anymore because EPOC is not only used to repay for the O2 deficit, but also used for metabolism that unrelated to the repaying of the O2 deficit. Okay, so what does this mean? Means that by right, you owe money 10K, you pay back 10K, but in terms of this case, you don't pay 10K only, you pay extra. Why you pay extra? You pay extra because your body temperature increase. So it means that some activity that are not related to the oxygen consumption previously or O2 deficit, but now you have to pay extra. Maybe basically something like interest. Are you clear? So we don't call it O2 debt. In this case, we call it EPOC. But our syllabus still follow the old term. So that's why I put it, this symbol means that you do not need to know about this. This is extra information for you guys. But if you write this in the answer, you will get the marks as well, because it's a correct idea saying that oxygen debt, we not only pay for oxygen debt, we also pay for other things. For example, in this case, you pay for these catecholamines, the adrenalines and noradrenalines that increase the O2 consumption during the recovery, but it's nothing to do with the oxygen consumptions during the O2 deficit. Okay, so with this, I have done for the EPOC or oxygen debt.